You've probably heard the title Commissioner pop up, right? In the news, maybe in a history class. It sounds super official, super important, and, honestly, a little confusing. You've got district commissioners, resident commissioners, high commissioners. They all sound kind of the same, but trust me, they operate in completely different worlds. So let's dive in and actually figure out what's what.
So, what is the real difference? I mean, is one more powerful? Are their jobs even remotely similar? We're going to break this whole thing down layer by layer. We'll start right at the grassroots, the super local level, and then we're going to zoom all the way out to the international stage.
All right, first up, let's start with the role that probably impacts people's day-to-day lives the most, the local administrator. This is where we meet our very first type of commissioner.
And that would be the district commissioner, or DC for short. The easiest way to think about this person is as the ultimate boots-on-the-ground manager for a local area. They're the top government official in charge of making sure a specific district, like a county or a town, is actually running the way it's supposed to every single day.
And yeah, don't for a second think this is just some ceremonial figurehead role. Oh no, the DC is incredibly hands-on. We're talking managing local police, making sure taxes get collected, coordinating all the different government departments so they're not stepping on each other's toes, even overseeing local projects like building a new road or a school. The bottom line is, if it's a big deal happening at the local level, you can bet the DC is involved.
All right, so that's the local picture. Now let's zoom out one level. We're shifting gears here, from the hands-on administration of a local district to the representation for a much larger region. And this is where the resident commissioner comes in.
Now, the resident commissioner, or RC, has a totally different job description. Their main gig isn't the day-to-day nitty-gritty of managing one small area. Nope. Instead, they're like a bridge, a go-between. They represent the interests of an entire state or territory to the central government. And usually, they're doing this from an office right in the heart of the nation's capital.
And this is where the difference becomes crystal clear, right? On one hand, you've got the district commissioner. They're looking inward, focused on making their one little district run like a well-oiled machine. But the resident commissioner, they're looking outward, focused on fighting for their entire home state or territory on the national stage. So one is all about administration, and the other is all about advocacy.
Okay, and here's a little nuance for you. The title resident commissioner can actually mean slightly different things depending on where you are in the world. So in India, for example, it's a top-level appointed official. But then you look at a place like Puerto Rico, and their RC is actually an elected representative they send to the US Congress. And historically, the title was even used for people running huge regions. But what's the common thread through all of these? Well, they're all acting as a representative for a specific region inside a bigger political system.
Okay, you ready? Time for our final and biggest zoom out. We've gone from the local street to the regional capital, and now we're jumping onto the international stage. This is a whole different ballgame, and it's where we meet our third and final title, the High Commissioner.
So what in the world is a high commissioner? Well, it's actually pretty straightforward. They're a diplomat. That's it. Their job is basically the same as an ambassador's, but, and this is the key, they only exist within the Commonwealth of Nations. So, for instance, when Canada sends its top diplomat to Australia, that person isn't called an ambassador, they're a high commissioner.
And here's the little detail that really locks it all in. The building they work in, it's not called an embassy, it's called a high commission. This special lingo is a nod to the unique, shared history and the close political ties between Commonwealth countries. It's meant to signal a relationship that's, a bit closer than a typical one between two foreign nations.
So, this is probably the clearest line we can draw between all these titles. Think about it. The district commissioner and the resident commissioner, for all their differences, they both work inside the borders of a single country. Their jobs are all about internal stuff. But the high commissioner, they operate between two separate countries. Their job is 100% international diplomacy.
Okay, so we've broken down each role one by one. Now let's put them all side by side. We'll do a quick summary just to make sure everything really sticks.
Think of this as your ultimate cheat sheet for commissioners. Let's run through it one last time. First, the district commissioner. Their focus is local. Their role is administration, and their context is within a country. Next, the resident commissioner. Their focus is regional. Their role is liaison and advocacy, and they're also within a country. And finally, the high commissioner. Their focus is international. Their role is diplomacy, and their context is between Commonwealth nations. See? Local manager, regional rep, and global diplomat.
Okay, so now we know the definitions. We've untangled the mess. But you might be asking, so what? Why does this even matter? What's the bigger picture?
Well, it matters because these titles, they're more than just job descriptions. They're basically a map of how government and power are structured. They show you all the different layers that make a country tick, from the person making sure your local services are running, to the advocate fighting for your region's budget in the capital, all the way up to the diplomat keeping things smooth with other nations.
So I'll leave you with this to chew on. Now that you know the difference between the administrator on the ground, the representative in the capital, and the diplomat overseas, which one of them do you think really holds the most influence over people's daily lives? It's an interesting question, and the answer, well, it might be more complicated than it first seems.